I built this AI agent that automatically generates and reaches out to qualify LinkedIn leads based solely on the criteria you provide. You simply input the industry you want to target, the job title of the person, the country they live in, and the number of leads you want to generate. And the AI agent will take care of the rest. It will scrape the leads, generate a personalized message based on your specific offer, and then automatically send it via email. So in this video, I will show you how you can build this exact system step by step while explaining my full thought process behind everything that I do. So let's get started. So we're going to come over to NRN and simply come over here, click on add first step, and we'll actually use on form submission. And why we're using this? Well, to simply be able to input all the fields that we want and have them as separate values so we can actually use them as the automation goes on. So for the title I will say LinkedIn leads, then for the description I will say these are the best leads. And now the actual important part is we actually need to add in the elements that we actually want to be able to input so we actually get the desired results. So I will come over here, click on add form element, and the first thing we will add is simply the industry that we want, and I will put as placeholder, for example, accountants. Then we will come over here and add another one. This one will be job title, and over here I will come and say, for example, CEO. Then we will add another one, and this one will actually be the country, and here I will say, for example, Germany. And then we will add the last and final one, which is going to be number of leads, and for here let's say, for example, 12. And now that we added all of these fields, let's actually test it to see if it actually works. So we'll come over here, click on execute step. As you can see, this opens up. We have industry, we have job title, we have country, and we have number of leads, which is great. So let me actually fill those in. So I wrote financial analyst, job title CFO, country United States, and number of leads I put it to 60, and I will simply click on submit, and boom, as you can see, if we close this off, over here we can see all the data we just inputted in the form, perfectly structured over here, exactly as we wanted. So now what I will do is actually pin this data so I don't constantly have to input it inside the form. And now it's time we add in our next module. So I will come and click off here. And now guys, what are we going to add? Well, if you remember, the second step is to actually start to scrape all of the leads from LinkedIn. Well, how are we gonna do that exactly? Well, we're going to do that with a third-party API, which is Apify. But in order for us to be able to access it, what we need to do is to simply come over here, click on the plus button, and search for HTTP request. And why we're doing that, guys, is because Apify does not have a built-in integration with NNN. So there is no such thing as us coming over here searching for Apify. It simply doesn't exist. And that's why we'll use the HTTP request to actually connect with Apify's API so we can actually get all the leads that we want. So to do that, we will actually have to go to apify.com, which, if you guys don't know, is actually a platform which allows us to scrape basically anything we want on the internet. As you can see over here, it has all these built-in integrations over here, but what we actually want to do is scrape LinkedIn leads. So how are we gonna do that? Well, simply we're gonna come over here, search for LinkedIn profile search scraper, and we'll simply click on enter. And now we can see all of these things which are actually called vectors, which allow us to scrape different things from LinkedIn. But the problem with these guys is that some of them simply do not work. As you can see, some of them have like 1 star, and there's a reason, because they simply don't work. Get all the information we actually need, which is the first name, the last name, their email address, their description, etc, etc. We actually have to use 2 of these vectors. The first one to actually find the specific accounts we want to scrape, and the second one to actually scrape the information from these specific accounts. That might sound complicated, guys, but it's actually super simple, and you will see we will literally do it in less than 3 minutes. So the first thing we actually need to do is to first come over here and click on this first one, which is LinkedIn profile search scraper, no cookies. And I will actually leave a link for it in the description below, so you can access it from there as well. So click on this one, and simply you're gonna come over here and click on try for free, and you will be brought in this interface. Now guys, I know this might seem very complicated, but it's actually super simple. The first thing that you have to do is simply come over here to where it says API, simply click on it, and then you're gonna come over here to where it says API endpoints. And now you will see all of these. Again, do not get intimidated, it's actually super simple. What you actually have to do is to simply come over here in the first, which says run actor, and simply come over here and click on the copy button, which actually copies this post URL in our clipboard. And now what we're actually going to do is we are going to come back over to NRN, open our HTTP request, paste in the link we just copied, and we're gonna come over here in the method and change it from get. And why do we change that? As you can see over here, a post request and not a get request. So when you copy links like this, always make sure you match this with a request inside NNN. So now that we did that, the next and final step we have to do is to simply come over here and click on the X button, is to simply come over here to the settings of the specific vector. And what you will want to do is simply click on this and change it from full, which is going to be, to short, which means that we're actually gonna scrape less information, but we're actually gonna end up paying significantly less, which is $4 per 1000 profiles rather than paying $8 for 1000 profiles. When you first sign up with Apify, it gives you like $5 completely for free, which is actually pretty good to get started. And if you don't want to pay for it, you can just create another account and you will have another $5 completely for free. So you can do that as well. But it's actually pretty cheap if you actually think of how many leads you're going to be able to get. So right here in the search queries, you actually want to type in an industry that you would actually want to scrape. Now this really does not matter because we're gonna change this inside NNN, so you can type literally whatever you want. You can type AI if you want. So AI industry is really not that important. Then over here, you select the maximum number of profiles you want to scrape. Again, you can put in whatever you want. We're going to configure all the settings with NNN. We just have to put in some dummy data over here, so we're actually able to grab the specific JSON, and you will see what I mean in a bit. Now over here again in the location, make sure you just input a random value. You can literally say whatever you want. You can say Canada if you want, for example. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that the values you actually want to scrape, you just put in a random value inside there. So you can see there are multiple values as well, like past company filter, school filter. If you want a specific school, you literally type a random school, for example high school, you could say. Like, it doesn't matter, you just put in a random value, so we can actually configure this later on in NNN. But I don't actually want to scrape for what school people went to, so I'll simply click off of it. Is actually scrape for the current job title. So for example, you can say here like janitor. Like, it literally does not matter, just put in a random value. Now that we finish filling in the settings that we actually want to have inside our NNN automation, what we actually have to do is to scroll all the way up here, guys, to where it says manual, and come over here and click on JSON. And now guys, do not get intimidated by this. This is actually super simple. All you have to do is to simply come over here, simply copy it, come back over to NNN inside our HTTP request node, and simply come over here, click on send body, so it opens all of this up. And then since we have JSON text, we'll come over here to specify body and change it from using fields below to using JSON, and paste this inside here. And now guys, what we actually did is we successfully copied the code from Apify and we pasted it inside our HTTP request, which actually is meant to communicate what values we want Apify to scrape based on. Well, if you actually come over here to the code, and I know guys, this is code or it's super hard, but if you actually look at here, it's literally super simple. Over here we have current job titles, which is the job title we actually want to search for. And over here we have janitor, which if you remember is the fake dummy value we imported in Apify. Over here we have locations as well, which is another value we want to search for. And over here we have Canada, which is again the fake dummy value we imported before. What this code basically has, guys, is all the values we actually want to search for in Apify. But since we don't want to search for a janitor and for Canada, and we want to actually search for these values, which we actually put in inside the form in NNN. So if I actually open this, so you guys can see even better, what we actually have to do is to simply come over here to the janitor, delete it, simply come over here to the left in our form submission, to where we actually have our real job title, which we actually want to search for, which is CFO, and simply take this value and drag and drop this inside this code over here. Which what this will do, guys, is it will tell Apify to actually search for the specific job title we actually input it in our form submission inside NNN. So all we will do now is do exactly the same with all the values we want to search for. So over here we have locations, and we see we have Canada over here. Well, we're gonna delete Canada, and what we're actually going to do is gonna come over here to country, simply drag and drop this inside here, and boom, we have the country as well. Now max items. What is max items? Well, it's how many leads we actually want to get. So since we don't want to get 20, we'll simply come over here, delete this one, and again we're gonna come over here to the number of leads we specified before, simply drag and drop this over here. And now we configure this successfully as well. And over here we have profile scraper mode. We don't need to touch that. This is what plan is going to use if you remember the 4 of the $8 one. So we leave that as it actually is. And over here in the search queries, we actually see AI, which is basically the industry we want to search for. So we're gonna come over here, delete AI, simply come over here to the industry and drag and drop this inside here. So now we have successfully configured all of these values over here, and we basically told Apify to search for these specific values. If for example you paste the value to the right of the quotes or to the left, it might actually give you a problem. All you have to do is simply come over here, copy this, open the AI assistant, paste the code in and literally tell it, hey, fix this JSON code, and click on enter, and it will literally give you the code correct. So you literally have nothing to fear. Even if you make a silly mistake like that, like you can just tell the AI and it will literally fix it for you. But since we actually did not make a mistake, let's actually close this and let's actually test if this actually works. So I will simply come over here and click on execute step, and we can see that it does give an output, which means that it has sent something to Apify to actually scrape. So if we come back over to Apify, we navigate to where it says over here runs, we can see that we did successfully scrape all of these results over here. So if we actually open this and we go over to output, just for us to be able to see, we can see that we have all of these results over here, which has the person's name, the last name, and most important of all, their actual LinkedIn profile link, which is what we're going to use to actually get all the data we actually need for that specific person. Now you don't actually need to navigate to this tab to actually see the leads. Like this will all happen inside N8N. I just came back to simply show you how this looks inside Apify. So now if we come back over to N8N, you can see that we don't actually see this data over here in the output section. And why that is because this HTTP request just send a request to Apify to actually scrape it. It didn't send a request to Apify to actually take the data we scraped and get it back inside N8N. So in order for us to do that, we need to send it another request. So let's actually do it. Come back over to Apify and we'll again navigate over here to the API and again click on API endpoints. So we can actually get the data back. But we're not gonna get this link, which is the run actor link, which we actually took before. We're gonna scroll all the way down here, guys, to the bottom of the page, which actually says get last run dataset items, because that's exactly what we want to do. We want to get all the items of our last run in Apify. So in order for us to do that, again, we see that this is a get request, so we'll make sure this actually matches inside the HTTP request, and over here we have the link. So all we'll have to do is simply come over here, click on copy, and again, we're gonna come back over to N8N, paste this in, and make sure this is on get, so we don't actually need to look at any code at all, which is honestly pretty good. So now all we have to do is to simply come over here, click on execute step, and you can see, guys, over here we literally got all the data from Apify inside our N8N interface. Like over here we can see the LinkedIn URL, the ID of the specific person, a summary of what they do, which is gonna be very useful when we actually create the custom message, and literally all of this data, description over here, the title, like everything. And we have that for all 50 members. And the reason this is 50, guys, is because we are actually using the free plan of Apify. If we pay for the paid Apify plan, we can actually put this at whatever number we actually want. But in the free plan in Apify, you can only do it for 50 each time. So if you just want 50 more, you simply type in the same exact values and you literally have 50 more. So it's literally that simple. So you don't actually need to upgrade if you don't actually want to. So now we have successfully gotten all of this data about the specific LinkedIn accounts. But the problem is, guys, that we don't actually have their email. So we cannot actually email them with this data. And that's because simply the vector we actually used in Apify does not actually give us an email, which is not ideal because we actually need to use another vector to actually get that person's email so we can actually email them. I know it's not the most convenient thing, but that's how things actually are. Trust me, guys, I researched this for hours to find a vector that does both and I could not find one. So this is the best possible way you can do it. Get the emails of all the specific accounts. What we actually have to do is to simply come over here and again click on the plus icon, and again, guys, we'll search for another HTTP request, and that is because we will need to use in another vector from Apify, which actually is the mass LinkedIn profile scraper with email. I will leave a link for it in the description below as well, so you can access it immediately. So now we're gonna have to come over here to API, click on API endpoints, and again, guys, we'll literally do the exact same thing. We come over here to run actor and we simply copy this link, which is a post request as well. We come back over to NNN and we simply paste this inside the URL, and again we come over here and change the method from get to post, since this is a post request. Now if you remember again, we come back over to Apify, we simply close this, and now this time, in which the only option we literally have is to actually import a LinkedIn URL to find the email. So we don't really have to configure anything here. All we have to do is to simply come over here, click on JSON. This is a super small sample of code, so we just simply come over here, copy this again. We come back over to NNN. Again, we come over here to send body. We turn this on, and again, specify body. Right now it's using fields below, which is these parameters. We actually need to change this to simply using JSON, since we actually have copied the JSON code. Simply come over here and paste this in. Now let's open this up again in the bigger tab. Now again, this time the only dummy value we had, the URLs that we actually found before to get scraped for their email. So all I will do is simply delete this. I will simply come over here, so simply take this one and come over here and drop it inside the quotes over here. And now that we dropped it over here, as you can see, this is 100% correctly set up. So all we'll do is simply come click off here, and let's actually test to see if this works. So all I will do is come over here and click on execute step. And actually guys, we got in this error, which I actually forgot to mention about. So in order for us to actually fix it, we actually have to come over to Apify over here, and we should have done this before. But since we actually have to scrape 50 leads, and they do take a lot of memory, as you saw before in NNN, it said that it actually needs 8 GB of memory. So we'll simply come over here, simply add some gigabytes, and boom guys, as you can see, successfully executed over here. But remember, we don't actually have the real data over here. In order for us to get it, what we need to do is to click off here. We're gonna come over here and add in again another HTTP request to request Apify to actually send us back the data, so we actually have it and use it. So again, you're gonna come over here, click on API, go to API endpoints, and again we're gonna scroll all the way down here guys to where we see get last run dataset items. We're gonna come over here, copy this, we'll look at this and we see it is get. Simply come over here, paste this inside the URL, make sure this is on get, and now all we have to do is to simply test it. So I will come over here, click on execute step, and boom guys, as you can see, we have gotten the data back. We have an email value, and over here we have that person's specific email address, which is simply amazing. It was a little bit harder to get than it should be, but that's the best possible way, at least right now. And over here we have all this other information, job title, company name, etc, which is honestly pretty great. So now that we actually have all this information, it's time we go over to step 3, which is actually adding in our AI agent, so you can actually create the email message we're going to send to all the people in our list over here. So to do that, we'll simply come and click off here, and we're gonna come over here to the plus button and click on AI agent. Now we're gonna come over here and change this from connect to chat trigger node to define below, since we're not using a chat trigger node. And we actually need to explain to the AI agent exactly what we want to do, which is probably the most important part of the automation. So what I actually did, and what I would suggest you do as well, is I simply came over to ChatGPT, explained exactly what I want the AI agent to do, and basically told it to give me a prompt for it. And over here it gave me this full prompt, which I actually said that in it, and it's actually pretty good. So I'll simply come over here and copy it. I come back over to NNN and simply paste it in here. But just to give you like a quick summary, it basically says that I will give it a Google Doc with my offer, and then I will give it a lot of information that I scraped from LinkedIn, and it should basically create a custom message promoting my offer as a professional copywriter, the personalized information I gave it to craft it in the best way possible for conversions. That's basically what this has. If you want this exact prompt with the actual full template for the full automation, so you can simply upload it to NNN and be good to go and not have to build anything, you can just simply come, click the link down below and join my new school community, in which I actually have a lot more than just templates for automation. I actually show you how you can build a full AI SaaS completely from scratch, how you can find the idea, how you can actually build the app, how you can market it to get customers to your app, and how you can scale it. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you go and check it out. But if not, that's fine as well. You can just simply keep watching this video. So I will simply come and click off here. And now what we actually need to do before we actually do anything else is we actually need to give it the information we said we were going to give it. So all I will do is simply come over here, drag and drop in the first name. Let's drag and drop in the last name as well. I will also drag and drop what they actually are doing over here. So basically the headline, Also, if I scroll over here, I see the about page, so I will also use this one, so I will simply drag and drop it. So I basically give it as much relevant information so you can grab the best possible personalized email. So I think this is pretty good. I don't think it needs anything else. Obviously you can go through all of these and put in whatever you want. I will just use these four for this example. And now what we actually need to do is to add in an actual chat model which is going to be the brain of our AI agent. So to do that, I will simply come over here, click on chat model, click on the plus icon, and I will search for OpenAI chat model. And over here select your credentials. If you don't have credentials though, simply click on create new credentials. Go to platform.openai/API keys. I will leave a link for it in the description below. And simply come over here, click on create new secret key. You need to give it a name. I will name it, for example, NRN automation. And I'll simply come over here, click on create new secret key. And over here you have your new API key. You simply copy it. Come back over to NRN, simply paste this in, and come over here, click on save. And as you can see, connection successful, so we're good to go. So simply select your credential over here, and then come over here, select the model you want to use. I will leave it on GPT-4o mini, and I'll simply click off of here. Now we can actually give our AI agent some memory if we actually want, but it's not really necessary for what we're doing right now, so I will just leave this field empty. And now what we actually have to do is to give it access to the Google Doc we mentioned before. But in order for us to do that, we first need to create the Google Doc. So I came over to Google Docs and I wrote this description about my offer, which is basically a fake offer. I just told ChatGPT to create me one for the purpose of this video. Obviously you should put details about your real offer and all the value you can actually provide to the person you're reaching out to, and I actually named it example, as you can see over here. So now we'll come back over to NRN, simply come over here to tool, click on the plus icon and search for Google Docs tool. I will select it, and first you actually have to connect your credentials. If you haven't connected your credentials, simply click on create new credentials, and over here you have to configure it. It's like a 3-minute process. There are multiple videos on YouTube that you can see how you can do that. So once you connect your credentials, then over here I will select on select automatically. Resource I will select document. Operation I will select on get, since we actually want to get information from inside our Google Doc to give to our AI agent. Over here we actually need our Google Doc URL. So I will simply come back over to my Google Doc. I will click on share and make it accessible to everyone, copy the link, and simply come back over to NRN and paste it in. And now we're good to go. So let's click off of this here. And now that we're done with this one as well, let's actually test if our AI agent actually gives us a correct output. So to do that, I will come over here and simply click on execute step. And boom guys, as you can see, successfully finished executing, and over here we do have a specific output, which is actually the email we're going to send to that specific person, which is honestly pretty amazing. So now that we actually have the body of the email and the email addresses of all of our leads, now let's go actually and send over those emails. So to do that, I will simply come and click off here, and I will simply come and click on the plus icon and search for Gmail, and over here I will select send a message, since we actually want to send an email message. So again, over here you select your Gmail credentials. Over here on resource you leave it on message. Operation you leave it on send, since we actually want to send an email. And over here to tool, what we actually have to do is come over here in the HTTP request 3, which is the last HTTP request we actually did, and simply come take this value of the email, simply drag and drop this over here. And now on the subject we can say something related to our offer, for example, automate your business, since the offer that I used over here is actually about automating their business. And over here in the email type, we need to change this from HTML to simple text, since we actually want to just send simple text. And now, all we have to do, guys, is to come over here in the output of our AI agent and simply drag and drop this over here. This way, we have the email address, we have the subject, and we have the actual body of the email. But now we're not done yet. What we actually have to do is to come over here, click on add option, and click on append NRN attribution, and simply come over here and turn this off, since we don't actually have this annoying message in our email that it was sent from NRN, and we actually want to remove this. So to do that, we'll simply turn this off. And now let's actually test if our Gmail module actually works and we can actually send in all of those emails. So to do that, I will simply come over here and click on execute step, and boom guys, as you can see, we do have an output, which means that our emails were successfully sent. And if I come back over to my email, guys, as you can see, this email was sent with a custom message that our AI agent created and signs off as me as well, which is pretty cool. And again guys, you can tell the AI agent to write this message exactly as you want. I just gave you this as an example to show you. But if you actually don't want to have to build this whole automation yourself, you can just simply join my new school community and simply come over to the classroom. Go over here to the assets and simply download the JSON file and upload it to NNN, and you will be good to go. You won't have to build anything and the automation will be populated immediately. But I don't just only have automations inside the community. I also have a full roadmap of building an AI SaaS, which literally has everything of how to come up with the best idea, how to actually build your SaaS, then all the ways you can actually market it to get customers to your app, which is the most important part and the hardest to get right actually, and then how to scale it so you can actually make decent MRR consistently every month. So if that interests you, make sure you join the school community. The link will be in the description below. Also, a full analytical N10 course is coming as well. I'm going to record this in the next few days, but right now YouTube thinks you're gonna enjoy this video, in which I actually built a $1 million SaaS by using only Lovable and N10. So make sure you go watch that next, and I will see you over there.